sun went down. We had it all when we didn't have all that much. And I ain't making that up.
All right. Welcome to episode number 8. It has been a minute for us with spring break. I was actually out of the country for a little bit. We've had quite the interesting month of April. Believe it or not, it's May already. Time is flying by. The season is flying by for all spring sports, and could not have been one of the worst weather-wise months of April ever. So it's pretty jammed up on the baseball side. Softball, I'm assuming, is the same way. Jay, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm very sick of the lovely weather we have here. The grass is shooting up, though, so there are benefits. But the spring season, it's been about a month since we've done a podcast because I felt like there's just not much to talk about because some teams have 8 games in and other teams have 2 because it's been a sloppy mess. And the spring breaks, I don't know, every school decided that they don't play over spring break anymore. And they didn't align through different BOCES. So there was, instead of your typical 1-week period of kind of a hiatus of games, there was 2 weeks in which some teams were really not playing. So it's, we're only like 2.5 weeks away from the end of the season, and yet we still have the majority of the season to go.
Yeah. We're in the same boat too, just like everyone else. I mean, we have 4 games next week, and then 3 and 3. So we have 10 games in the next 3 weeks, which is probably like in the middle in terms of like who has more or less. I mean, when we were debating on having an episode, there were, I would say, probably a third of Section 3 didn't even play a game yet. So it's like, what?
I didn't know who to talk about because I was like, well, this team literally has played 1 game, so no clue.
Right. So we're back. The season is in full swing, pun intended right there. But yeah, let's, do you have anything else or you want to get right into it?
Let's dive into it. What's on the whiteboard?
So for baseball here, everything is ramping up pretty quickly. Funny story, I was creating my power rankings for, halfway through the year, comparing them to the ones that I made preseason. As of right now, we're going to focus more so, obviously, on the smaller schools. But it's been pretty crazy, just to say the least, because it really does give you a good insight of where the BTM is right now. There's some that make you scratch your head, but we've talked about this before. We've beat this drum before, where the record is not really going to portray where the seeding is. So a lot of it is strength of schedule, quality opponents, who they play, who they've beaten, did you beat them, did you lose, so on and so forth. So I wanted to start with let's start with Class C. Going into my power rankings, I had Beaver River at number 1. And initially, when the BTMs came out, they were at 9. And they were 6-0. So that was very, very interesting. And I had them in my power rankings at number 1, my newest version. The crazier thing that we just noticed before we hopped on, they played Bishop Ludden today, somehow, in this rain. They went all the way up to Copenhagen and played on their turf field and won 5-6, and they won via a walk-off. So that's a huge win, not only for the BTM, but just for them in general. And I did want to point out some players, Cade Schneider, Asher Giroux. They've been pitching really, really well. 31 strikeouts with them combined. I don't know if they pitched today or not. I didn't get a chance to look at their stats. Those 31 strikeouts are across 20 innings pitched, so it's a pretty good ratio. I was kind of shocked, even with their strength of schedule, that right off the hop, they were the 9th seed. I thought they were going to be at least a top 5. So hence why I put them at number 1. For my number 2 in the Class C is Port Byron. For Port Byron, if you guys haven't heard, there's this kid named Connor Usowski. And I'm saying that kind of sarcastic because this kid is an absolute stud. He's a lefty. From what I've heard, sits low to mid 80s, and I believe he's a Lemoyne commit. And he has a outstanding 69 strikeouts in 30 innings pitched. On top of that, he only has 6 walks.
Getting it done.
So on the bump, he's killing it. He's also hitting 478 in the box. Matt Howell is also a big hitter, hitting 423. And Sawyer Rooker is hitting 389 with 6 RBIs. I had them at number 2 in my power rankings. And as of right now, the BTM, where is Port Byron? Port Byron is an 11 seed right now. I don't know what's going on there, but they were much, much higher within the last 48 hours, even 24 hours ago. So they're a tough out. They're a pretty good team here, especially if Connor's on the mound. Good luck trying to beat them in sectionals. Staying in the Class C's.
Not to mention, he had a crazy 21 strikeout no-hitter over Pulaski this season already. Accounting for every single out. Like, that's insane.
Could you imagine, like, just being one of the outfielders that day? Just be like, give me something.
Jogging on out there and jogging back in.
All right, let me just do my warm-ups. All right, cool. All right. But no, that's amazing. That's no matter who you're playing, that's an outstanding accomplishment, obviously, to say the least. Again, staying with the Class C's, Morrisville Eden has been doing a pretty good job here and having a pretty good season. They've been a really good program for the last, I don't know how many years, too many. They're at 5-2-1 right now. I believe their tie is with,
I think it was Mount Markham. Yeah, they had gone into 9 innings and called it because of darkness.
Right. They had a big win earlier this week against Cazenovia. They won 3-1. So that was a big win, not only for their season and everything, but BTM wise, because Cazenovia is pretty high up there for the Bees. You had Riley Dooley pitching on the mound. He went complete game, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 12 Ks. So that's pretty. Obviously, a very good outing. Lincoln Dabson is hitting 423, 11 hits, 4 doubles, and a whopping 9 stolen bases. He is a big time threat when it comes down to running the bases. And basically, if he's on first base, you might as well just put him on second. He's probably going to steal it. Besides that, Morrisville is playing a pretty competitive schedule. They actually just played McGraw in a big one, and McGraw got that one 8-3. The one team that I did want to talk about a little bit more time on was APW. So APW right now is the 2 seed. They're undefeated. They have played Cato twice and Pulaski, and then they just beat Jordan Elbridge, I believe, on Thursday. So the reason why I wanted to point them out is because they're number 2. Their BTM ranking is 6.694. So we always talk about with the BTM, strength of schedule, quality opponents, so on and so forth. Cato and Pulaski are towards the bottom of the Class C rankings. But the win against Jordan Elbridge is a really good one because Jordan Elbridge is in the middle of the Bs. So it's interesting to see how 2 of their 3 opponents have been in the bottom of their class, but yet they're the number 2 seed and have a .694 BTM ranking. So that one kind of like confuses me a little bit because I figured not that they wouldn't be bad, but just that I didn't see them being number 2. So I wonder if like the fact that they're undefeated has a little bit of a sway in the BTM. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because it really doesn't. Even Jordan Elbridge, who's 6-3, hasn't really beat any super quality opponents this year. So, yeah, that one doesn't seem to track as well.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's kind of like it's so early. We still have so many games to go. Next week, their schedule is packed. They are playing 4 games in 4 days. They have Port Byron on Tuesday. They're going to Weedsport on Wednesday, then hosting Weedsport on Thursday, and then hosting Stockbridge Valley on Friday. So this week is going to be one hell of a week and very, very busy, with 3 out of those 4 games being league games. For APW, leading the way is junior Derek Rice. He's hitting 500 right now. He's got 5 RBIs, 6 stolen bases. On the mound, he has 9.2 innings pitched. He has a 0.00 ERA, 1 walk and 18 Ks. Hunter Johnson is a junior. He's been pitching really well too. He's got 9.1 innings pitched, 1 walk, 16 Ks as well. So between those 2 guys, that's 34 Ks within, 19 innings pitched. So that's a very good ratio there. The last team I wanted to highlight was Waterville for the Class Cs. Waterville had a outstanding walk-off win against Oriskany on April 11th. They won 5-4, and they had J.P. Heflin driving the ball to the fence, scoring Cooper Pattison third, and that ended up being the walk-off win as it was 4-4 going into the 7th. Now, as of right now, Waterville is the 13th ranked team in Class C. I have them in my power rankings at 7. So that's a 12 position jump in my power rankings. Now, I'm also a little biased here with Waterville because we, Stockbridge Valley, played them in a really, really good game. We fortunately were able to beat them 5-4. I don't know why the BTM is kind of hating on them a little bit, because their strength of schedule is very competitive. They're in the CSC. They played Madison, who's a quality opponent. Poland is a quality opponent. Oriskany, obviously, they walked them off. Dalgeville, Hamilton, Stockbridge, West Canada, and New York Mills. So for them, that's kind of interesting. I can very easily see them jumping up at least to the top 10 within sectionals. Maybe in the top 8 there. Just to give you some stats here, within that thrilling of a game against Oriskany, state runner-up last year within Class D, Eddie Wright went 3 for 3. He had 2 doubles, 1 RBI. He went 4 innings pitched, 9 Ks. Braden Decker led the way for Waterville. He went 2 for 3, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, 3 innings pitched, 1 hit, and 6 strikeouts. And at the same time, their starter, Waterville, Logan Roberts, it was his first varsity start. So just imagine that. First varsity start, and you're going against the Class D state runner-ups. Good luck. Go get him. He gave up 3 runs in the first inning, but I heard that some of the hits were a little bit kind of dinky. Blue Pit's kind of the frustrating inning to kind of get off, kind of a rough start to get off to. But either way, I mean, the comeback down 3-0, tie it up, then have it 4-4, and then walk off against a really, really, really good opponent of Oriskany. As of right now, just to give you context, Oriskany's BTM right now is 0.676. They would be the 3 seed in Class C. So that's pretty much it in terms of the C's that I wanted to point out. There are some other teams that I have pretty close in the power rankings in terms of the BTM. Frankfurt Schuyler, I had at 4. They're at 5 right now. One team that in my power rankings I have a lot lower is Utica Notre Dame. I have them at 13. They're at 6 right now in the BTM. I'm assuming that's heavily weighing their strength of schedule because they play a lot of the bigger Utica area schools. But it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this goes pretty much at every level, but especially the C's because there's so many of them that are so jam-packed. to see where they go day by day. Not even week by week, day by day with these BTM scores. Because, like I said, 48 hours ago, Beaver River was the 9th seed, and now they're number 1. So this BTM right now is changing by the hour, really, by every single score that's posted.
No, I think the rankings are an interesting look in here. The Morrisville was a little bit of a surprise to me. I'm happy to see them. They've been pretty consistent. I think it's interesting to see teams that kind of almost get to like dynasty status. Like every year they're just consistently going to be in the mix. And I feel like Morrisville has done their part to be in the mix. We'll see if they can hang on to that. Waterville seems to be doing things in sort of an unconventional way. Kind of just grinding out gritty wins, and maybe that's reflective in that 13 seed in the BTM at the moment. But lots of time. There's going to be a lot of shifts here. I mean, Port Byron sitting at 11 is pretty wild. And that's where, especially the way the schedule works, the waters are going to just get even muddier, because you're going to see teams having to go deep into bullpens, and who knows what that's going to do for their win-loss records and what that does to the BTM. Coaches are going to have to decide, are we throwing them against a quality opponent, or are we throwing them against a league opponent? And those are going to be the big decisions that are going to end up having a huge impact on sectional seeding.
Right, because especially with the BTM, as we've said before, the crossovers also really, really can help you too.
Yeah,
down the line.
And that's the question: Are you going for your sectional seed, or are you going for your league title?
Right. Let's move on to Class D. A little bit of a surprise here, but not really if you're kind of following this level here. But McGraw is number 1 right now. They are 7-0. They are on fire. They won the high school classic tournament that's hosted by PBR in Portland. They beat DeRider in game 1 and then beat a very good Tully team in game 2. They have big wins against Madison, Hamilton, Morrisville the other night, like I said earlier. In the box, they're led by Blair Mulcahy. He, as of right when I wrote this stat down, he was 14 of 21. I don't know what his updated stats are after his game or their game against Morrisville. But also going into that, Caleb Sutton was hitting at an average of 600. I wouldn't be shocked if he's one of the fastest kids for Class D, if not, smaller schools. He is lightning quick. He's got 8 stolen bases, and he has scored 13 runs. Owen Mulcahy and Brendan Wilson are also hitting very well as well. They're just, as of right now, this is the picture-perfect start for them. They are kicking on all cylinders right now. So no surprise that they're number 1. I think them and Oriskany, you can argue, are 1 and 2. For me, in my power rankings, I have Oriskany at 1 and McGraw 2. The only reason why I have Oriskany at number 1 is just because of the fact that they're so good. They're still playing so good. They are the reigning state runner-ups, and they graduated 1 kid. So,
yeah, they've proven it already.
Yeah.
So we'll see if McGraw can prove it when push comes to shove late in the season.
Right. They're very talented. They have a good core. So that would definitely be an interesting matchup between Oriskany and McGraw. Transitioning to Oriskany, they're 7-1 on the year. Their one loss was that walk-off win for Waterville against them. They had an extremely impressive win, which kind of shocks me as to why their BTM score might not be in like the 7s, is when they beat Little Falls 6-5. Little Falls, for those of you that don't know, they're the reigning Class B sectional champs. They're also the reigning regional champs. So that was a really, really impressive win. 6-5 final. You had Eddie Wright going 3.1 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 9 Ks. You had Dean Koenig going 3.2, 3 hits, 2 runs that were earned, 3 walks, and 5 Ks. So that's kind of like their their 1-2 punch right there. You have Matthew Kernan. He was 2 for 4 in that game, 2 runs scored, 1 RBI, 1 stolen base as well. Sean Graziano and Dawson Foss had 2 RBIs as well. With Oriskany, I still believe they're the ones to beat. But like you said, they've proven it, and it's not just like last year was a fluke. The year before that, they were really good too. So it's kind of like one of those things where, if you look at professional sports, whoever is the reigning champ, you can't not call them the champ until they're gone. You know what I mean? So for me, that's where I see it. As of right now, for the top 5 for Class D, I have Oriskany, McGraw, Stockbridge, Madison, and Poland in that order.
Yeah.
Stockbridge and Madison haven't played yet. You can argue that Madison should be 3 and Stockbridge should be 4. I think we're splitting hairs there. We're actually playing on May 12th. That would be Madison's home game at Doubleday Field. So I'm very excited to go down there. It's always a blast going down and playing there. Couple more teams just to highlight real quick for Class D. Like I said, Madison, they've been playing really, really well. They just had another big league win last night against Brookfield. They had 2 big wins in terms of BTM rankings against MGA. They won 9-5. In Waterville, they beat them first game of the year 9-3. For them, Darren Buchanan is carrying the team, both hitting and pitching right now. When I wrote these stats down, he is hitting .455 with 4 doubles, and on the mound, he has 18.2 innings pitched with 27 strikeouts. Those are not up to date with their game last night against Brookfield. I do believe he pitched. I can actually look that up real quick. But it's looking like right now the CCL is loaded with talent between McGraw, Madison, and Stockbridge, which is obviously really good to see. Just for our bias, just because we both coach it.
And I think that helps those fellow teams in the BTM overall as well. When you have most of your league is going to help you a ton within your BTM ranking, because that's what your majority of data is coming from. So the better the competition is in your league, the better things are going to be for you. But yeah, Oriskany still at the top for me. I think it's a challenge when you have such a force with the Coney kids and Eddie Wright being on the mound. You have Nick Hayes behind the plate, who's having a phenomenal season as well. Can McGraw and the likes of these other CCL teams, handle the good pitching and that offense? They really are the 1-2 punch. Right. And that'll be the question when you get down the line is, some of these teams that you're playing and beating it right now might have one side of the ball that's really strong. But when we come down to the finals, it's going to be both. Right. You have to have both.
But also, too, depending on how many teams go to sectionals and make it, how many games are you going to be playing? So on top of that, pitching obviously is crucial because you need arms. And McGraw and Oriskany right now have a lot of those. One of the 2 other teams I wanted to point out in my power rankings, I have them at 8, which is Hamilton. They are number 6 right now in the BTM. They're the classical. The record does not show the team, and the BTM actually kind of does recognize that a little bit. So right now, like I said, they're the 6th seed. They're 1-7, but again, their strength of schedule and quality opponents is what is making them the 6th seed. I know personally from us playing them, we beat them in a thriller as well, 5-4. That game could have gone either way depending on the bounces. They're good. They're a very competitive team. They never quit. Coach LePage does an amazing job with that program. So they're a team where you look at their record and you think, oh, they can't be that good, but it's don't look at the record. They're going to be competitive. The last team I wanted to point out was A-Bay for Class D. In my power rankings, I have them at number 7. And right now with the BTM, they're at number 9. And they are the victims here of the classic way the BTM thinks. So seeding record, they're 5-1, and their BTM ranking is .185, or no, I'm sorry, .183. So for them, unfortunately, their league, because when I was making my power rankings, I was also trying to like factor in games that have been played, scores, some of the stats a little bit, trying to look at the box score and get a sense of what the game was like, but also strength of schedule. So I was trying to guess like the BTM, but obviously I'm not. I was like, I don't know. I think I hit it at like a 30% rate in terms of correct guesses. A-Bay, and I wanted your opinion on this too, Jay. With A-Bay, I think they're being dragged down because of their league.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where it's so hard, because when you look at where, how far Belleville has kind of fallen this year, although not a huge pool of games to pull from for them yet.
Right.
Lafargeville, same boat. But yeah, you look at Copenhagen is struggling and is a bit down this year. Lime is struggling and is a bit down this year. There's a lot of runs going up in the North Country, which gives you a clue that maybe there's not as good of arms up north. But if you take a look at A-Bay's games, most of them have been pretty competitive score lines and not like super high score. They're not giving up a ton of runs. So they're more likely to be a legit factor. I mean, Sackett's Harbor is playing a pretty good season, and they're ranked 12 right now.
Right.
So it's just those other teams and those other losses are just dragging the entire Frontier League down, and we'll see if there's any crossovers that help them out. But the way the weather has gone, I don't know if they're going to be.
They do not. They have Thousand Islands down the line. I'm looking at their schedule right now. They have Thousand Islands on May 12th, and then South Louis as well. So South Louis can bump them up a little bit if they're able to pull that win off. Unfortunately, their two games got canceled today against Lyme and Fargeville. One of their wins that was good was against Belleville. They beat them 5-1. The only reason why I'm pointing that out is because Brady Moody was the pitcher for Belleville, and I do know that he is a pretty good arm. He went complete game, 4 hits, 1 walk with 12 strikeouts. So yeah. It's looking like Belleville still kind of looking like they're slacking a little bit with the hitting. They only had 1 hit that game.
Yeah, and that's where it's like I think Alex Bay is probably better than the BTM will ever respond, and this is also where you get into an odd dilemma with the Frontier League plays a tournament at the end of their season for a championship, like the league championship. So there's, a few games that they could schedule outside and get more crossovers that they won't, because they're going to be playing their own league again for the 3rd time, and possibly missing out there on some of that crossover information. So when it comes to tournament time, you got to beat who's in front of you. But, when you really think that you should have the advantage of a home game, and especially when we're talking about those crossovers from the North schools to some of these other schools, the home field advantage can be big. Going on a bus ride for nearly 2 hours has an impact.
Yeah. Again, it's just one of those situations of the BTM where we're kind of playing a guessing game here a little bit. This bracket, all these rankings for all these classes are, like I said, are going to change like crazy. They've been changing like crazy already. We've been seeing, if you look at all of the standings from AAA all the way down to D, they're changing left and right. So this is definitely going to be very, very interesting coming down here. But all in all here, I'm excited and very happy that the BTMs are out, because now we can kind of get a sense of what is going on here with the BTM and how we can somewhat gauge it.
I think coaches and ADs are starting to learn what to do. I think what we talked about before is definitely coming true in the fact that it is going to hurt small schools in scheduling, because these larger schools don't want to take a hit in if that small school might be very good, and their BTM score might be really good. But if they were to lose to one of their league opponents, their BTM score is going to drop significantly, which is going to pull down those larger schools. And those larger schools don't want that. And we had the same problem when we were back in the point system where, I was in Section 4 for a little while, and they used a point system of you get an extra point if you play a school that's bigger than you, whether you lose or not. Like you get 1 point for a loss if you play the same size school. You get 2 points for a loss if you play a bigger school. You get 0 points for a loss if you play a smaller school. So we faced the same scheduling issues then because larger schools didn't want to take the chance of hurting their seeding by playing us. And this has really emphasized that. It is much harder to get games as a competitive small school because they don't want it to hurt them in the BTM if they were to lose.
And it's even more severe in terms of difficulty for baseball and softball because if you're that baseball team or softball team with a really good pitcher and you line up your pitcher, more so for baseball, you line up the pitcher so you have your ace go against them because of the quality of opponent and quality of game with the BTM at risk, like that's a game you want. But now, depending on what your BTM score is, it could hurt the bigger school more. So it definitely is tough.
And with the weather situation compacting your season, you may have scheduled this team in hopes that you're going to be able to play ace versus ace, but the majority of teams play league first. You're going for that league title first.
Yep.
The sectional goal is second. A state goal is third. You're trying to take it one game at a time. And when you do that, if you have 4 games in 4 days and 3 of those games are against league opponents, you just took a risk by scheduling a good non-league to go in there, but you're probably not going to be able to throw your best arms in that situation.
Yeah. And the last point I'll make too is the other factor, because we just ran into this in terms of baseball. We're playing APW. I keep saying league. Stockbridge. We're playing APW next Friday, this coming Friday the 9th. We tried to move that game to the 2nd because just to free up the schedule a little bit on both sides because we're the 4th game in 4 days for them. And they emailed back to us saying that they already looked into it and they can't because there's no umpires. So
the official shortage also complicates our scheduling through the season.
Right.
And if you take a look at our scoreboards, I mean, every day from here on out, it is a full scoreboard. I don't have enough letters to do a write-up. So I've had to go super shorthand in all these write-ups. I feel bad because I'm leaving kids out, but I literally have no more room.
You got to do like part 1, part 2.
Yeah.
But that's about it for me in terms of baseball. So, let's send it over to you for softball.
All right. When we take a look at the softball rankings, I've done it a little differently. I think Sanders took a look at baseball a little bit more from a personal standpoint and your experience with them with an influence of the BTM. I wanted to do an experiment and see what would happen if we ran the seeding and through a strength of schedule model that was the same as what college football used when it was back in the BCS days, just the bowl game era. So what that required was a whole lot of time in a Google sheet setting up. I had to put input. You take your win percentage, you add every opponent's win percentage, and then you average their win percentages. So you take your win percentage, add it to the average of your opponent's win percentage, and then you have to add that to your opponent's win percentage.
Oh my God.
So it gets three layers deep. It was a lot of clicking around.
I can only imagine what those Google Sheets look like.
And now that it's set up, it's nice because it's just going based off of your record. So your win percentage has a definite impact in here, and obviously your league does as well. So interestingly enough, that through A-Bay at the top, it really has helped the Frontier League in softball. So Alex Bay is up top, and then Hamilton comes in at number 2 for me in Class D. I think Hamilton is definitely in the mix. They had a rough week this week, dropping 2 games, one to Cooperstown and one to Secoit. But they're definitely in that mix. And I really do think there is Class D is far more up for grabs than I may have thought at the beginning of the season. There are a lot of teams in this mix because they're just not hitting their stride as much as I kind of anticipated at the beginning of the season. Alex Bay is not doing it in the circle, and I think that's the shocking part to me. Their pitchers, ERAs are 10.71 and 11.87. So they're giving up runs in bunches. However, their offense is one of the best offenses in Class D. They have multiple players hitting above 400, and they have Sierra Fasshauer, who is hitting 611 on the season. So they're getting it done with their bats, and that'll be interesting when we start to see these new pitchers, the new crossover games of opponents they haven't seen before. How does that translate? And maybe it does. You know, Fasshauer's got 11 hits on the season with 18 at bats. She scored 7 runs, a double, 2 triples. Is that 2 home runs? Oh man, it's all lined up wrong. No. Yeah. That's 1 double, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs on the season. She's only struck out twice. So she's having one heck of a season to lead Alex Bay up there. Hamilton, a little bit more traditional. Ellie Freeth in the circle for them, but her ERA is even up to a 4.0, but their offense is also cooking. Ellie Freeth is batting .419. And then you have 80 Catania is batting .393. So you have a few batters that are right in that range who are getting those reps, and their offense can be potent, but that's where they sort of fell off this week. But they're kind of a good meter because they have decent pitching and they have good hitting, so they're kind of a two-sided beast. When you look at McGraw, they're in that mix as well. They've been starting off really well. Caitlin Millard is leading them and is doing a phenomenal job. She's batting .526. But again, I thought their pitching was going to be something to be worried about. Remington Stoll had a nice season last year. She's got a 5.11 ERA. Only 18 strikeouts so far this season. Abby Lakey has really stepped up for them, pitching more this season. She's got 26 strikeouts, but an ERA of 4.25. So they're giving up more runs than I would have expected, and I'm sure that they would have hoped for coming in. But their offense is trucking. Bristol Eastman is batting .400. Leah Terwilliger is batting .444. They have the offense to support that. Then you look at Sackett's Harbor, who is the defending Class D champions, and their ERAs are Maya Mattis, I thought was going to be kind of their starting pitcher. She has come in to be the pitcher right now for the last few games, but her ERA is 5.4, and Kaylin Brulette had an ERA of 3.99. So every team is kind of giving up 3 runs, except for A-Bay, who's giving up a lot more than that. So you're giving up about 4 runs a game, probably more than that because we're talking earned runs in the ERA.
Yeah.
So you're giving up 4 or 5 runs, but their offense is what's sort of supporting that. Maya Mattis is batting .429, but she's, I believe, came back from injury here, so that's going to ramp up Sackett's Harbor's offense. And then you have Stockbridge, who's kind of built differently. Carolyn Carmen in the circle has an ERA of 2.93, so she's already at 78 strikeouts on the season. But it's a lot muddier. Last year her ERA was, I believe, under 1. I think it was .93 something. So there's a lot more offense going on in Class D. There's a lot more losses. There's a lot of parity in Class D softball that I'm really excited to see what happens. Stockbridge's offense isn't clicking on. They don't have a batter that's batting over 400. You have Marley Brummer is at 389 and Lily Stevens is at 391, but their offense hasn't gotten clicking yet. And so as the season comes into its full swing here and we really get momentum into the end, the question is going to be who is able to put that together, hit the spots, keep them off the board, who can play the defense to drop those runs down, but also while putting up runs. Because I don't think we're going to see what we saw last year with, Stockbridge and Sackett's Harbor had a nice battle. 1-0 ends the game. Right now, Class D is not on track for those sorts of games. We're in store for 5-4, 6-5, lots of offensive games to be played. It'll be interesting to see who steps up and what happens there.
I'm just bouncing around from team to team as you're talking about them. I'm looking at their schedules, and it's really making me confused. It's just why they don't have the BGMs out right now for softball, because I'm trying to guess myself just based off of their schedules and opponents who they're playing, where they're going to be. I wouldn't be shocked if Sackett's Harbor is the top 3 just based on their schedule, maybe top 4.
Well, and that's where it is interesting because in the BTM, A Bay is ranked 4th. Hamilton is the 1. McGraw is 2. Poland shoots up into the 3 spot.
Wow.
And Poland has been a pleasant surprise for me. I thought Oriskany would be a little better. They're one of those sort of dynasty teams that every year is very competitive. And they definitely have some offensive talent there. They have some fast kids on that Oriskany team. But Poland is putting together a season that I don't think many people saw coming. At the 4 spot.
I'm sorry, yeah. I'm looking at their schedule, and it doesn't shock me looking at their schedule now that they would be top 5 because they have Little Falls twice, who's undefeated in Class Bs, and they have Adirondack, West Canada. It's all season Bs that they've played. Frankfurt Schuyler. Yeah. So,
what's shocking to me is the Frontier League is sort of really in this weird limbo state because their Class C opponents are way up here. But their Class D opponents can also kind of bring them down, and so it's sort of bounced them all into the middle. And the CCL is very competitive, but because they're beating each other, it does make that, McGraw right now is undefeated in the CCL, so that's helped them out. Whether they can keep that up, we'll see. If they keep that up, then they'll stay in that spot. But if they don't, we'll see if they drop a little bit. Because Madison is struggling, so they're going to bring them down. And in the BTM, Abe is ranked 4th. Sackett's Harbor is the 6th seed.
Oh, wow.
So this schedule comparison that I've got versus the BTM, it is interesting to see how it's equating the strengths of schedules so differently.
Yeah, it's almost looking like, based upon what you're talking about, just as an outsider's perspective for me, it's almost looking like who's going to make the least amount of mistakes game by game. Mm-hmm. That sounds kind of cliche-ish, but you're saying that all the pitching is up this year in terms of ERA and the scores are up, so it's almost as if who's going to limit the walks and who's going to limit the errors in those crucial moments.
Yeah, it's going to come down to control in the end.
Yeah.
Moving to Class C, I find this one really interesting because, man, the Frontier League is putting up some solid numbers, but the BTM is giving the top seed to Cooperstown right now, which I find interesting. And these teams are built so differently. Right now, Beaver River is undefeated, 6-0, but really their 2 pitchers, Sarah Herzig is their number 1 pitcher. She has an ERA of 2.89, so pretty solid. And their batting, though, is kind of lights out. They have 3 batters batting over 500. Meliana Giroux, again, same family, I think, from yours. I don't know. They were saying Emily Knight and Jasmine Babcock are batting 579, 550, and 500. So They have some serious offense. But when you look at their opponents, I mean, they're putting up lots of runs, but are they the quality opponents that you'd like to see them be beating in the end? I don't know. They finished the season with 2 games against Thousand Islands, which is going to be really interesting for their ranking and their step into sectionals. And for Thousand Islands, Why is that interesting? Because they're also 6-0. They're a different beast, though. They're Class C. While Class D, the pitching seems to be, I don't know, not the forefront of the action this year. In Class C, it 100% is, because we've got Sandy Creek, Thousand Islands, and Port Byron, who are built with pitching in mind. Melanie Wiley has thrown all 42 innings for the Vikings. She has an ERA of 171. She's already got 88 strikeouts on the season.
Wow.
So they're doing a phenomenal job in the circle. Tatum Wiley, her sister's batting .455 for the Ghosts to lead them. And Melanie is also doing pretty well in the box, .353. So Thousand Islands, I think, has a very nice balance between the two. But can they top their rival in the Frontier League and defending champions in Sandy Creek? Because Sandy Creek is still, to me, the team. And that's where I think it's interesting, because my power rankings and strength of schedule give Thousand Islands the edge right now. But I still think it's kind of like the McGraw and Oriskany debate in baseball. They both are 100% competitors and contenders in this mix. You look at Sandy Creek, they have a two-headed monster in the circle. They can mix within the game, or they can go back and forth, so they have a much deeper battery. I would give them the edge to finish the season potentially undefeated because of that. Sandy Creek's not going to play Beaver River, but they will play Thousand Islands. That game is going to happen on Wednesday. So that's the game to look out for. Wednesday, they go on the road to Thousand Islands to play, and it's the only meeting between those two teams until maybe the tournament at the end of the season. Madden Saluri has got a 1.9 ERA, and Michaela Glazier has a 1.61 ERA. And they're doing it on both sides. The batter I want to highlight, though, is Bailey Williams, is batting .667. Just a phenomenal season she's having. She's 10 for 15, 3 doubles, 2 triples, 1 home run, 4 RBIs on the season. She's just absolutely smoking the ball. I don't know, just start walking her a lot, because I don't know why you're challenging her. She has no walks this season, no hit by pitches, and no strikeouts.
Oh my God.
So everything that you're throwing at her, she's putting into play. I don't know. I'd start walking her if I were the coach of the other team.
Yeah.
Just get by. But they have some other talent behind her as well. Peyton Clark is batting .500. Madison Darling is batting .462. So you're gonna have to pick your poison, but that poison, I wouldn't want it to be Bailey Williams. She's gonna light you up.
Yeah, the thing that jumps out to me with these softball teams for Class C is the fact that Sandy Creek has only allowed 5 runs against.
Yeah.
Granted, they played 4 games, but that's 1 run a game.
3 of those runs came against one of our other top teams too.
Yeah. Where do you have Port Byron?
Port Byron, that's who I was just about to talk about.
Because that run differential of 97 in the green of 137.4 and 40 against is wild.
Yeah, in the metric, they've dropped to the 6th spot. But that's really because Thousand Islands, Sandy Creek, Beaver River, Cooperstown, and Onondaga are all undefeated so far this season. Okay. And they're all playing really good opponents, so they've all jumped up there. So I think that makes sense. And Port Byron's just behind. They lost 6-3 to Sandy Creek, so they put up 3 of those 5 runs against Sandy Creek. And they lost, their only other loss on the season is to Fulton, who's the top AA school right now, and they lost that game 6-2.
Wow.
Jenna Jump is in the circle. Fantastic name for the first part. If you go on to play in college, your walk-up song better be, I know it's not Jump, but like Bump It Up by a Joe Budden or something. This fantastic alliteration on the name. Her ERA is 3.71, so she has gotten hit a few times, but they are playing some top opponents already. She has 104 strikeouts already this season. Crazy. And then Cameron Brundage is leading their offense. She's batting .472. She has 9 doubles, a triple, and a home run with 13 RBIs. And then you have Luciana Dubois batting 537. She's 22 of 41. She's got 9 doubles, 3 home runs, and 27 RBIs on the season. So they are a monster on both sides of the plate. They can play defense, they can play offense. They're definitely within the mix, even though they've dropped to 6 because these other teams are undefeated and doing well. They're definitely still in the mix. Cooperstown. Sorry.
A random thought just came to my head because I remember writing some name down for baseball, being like, "Oh, it's one of the best names I've ever read." A-Bay. They have a kid. His name is Mason Savage.
Savage.
That's great. That's great.
That's a great baseball name too.
Yeah.
And in the BTM, Port Byron is the 5. Sandy Creek is the 2. Onondaga is the 3, which puts Thousand Islands at the 4, which is interesting. And the reason that I find this the most interesting is because right now Cooperstown is ranked number 1. Now Cooperstown is undefeated, but only have 3 games so far this season.
They have 5 games canceled.
Yeah. They beat Hamilton 10-2, a pretty dominant win. Pretty fantastic there. Sequoia is having a good season. They beat them 5-3. Herkimer is also doing well. Leah Bray in the circle there. They beat them 8-3. So solid performances, but it's not because of any outstanding individual effort. Cooperstown, much like their boys basketball team, seems much more a team approach. Emerson Lippett is in the circle for them, senior pitcher. She's not blowing anybody away. It's not a ton of strikeouts. It's keeping batters unbalanced, forcing easy outs, and then just playing defense behind. And their offense is led by Katie Crippen, their catcher, junior catcher. She's having a phenomenal season at the dish, but they're just generating runs consistently. Grace Sperry also a big impact player when it comes to the offensive side of the game. So they're interesting to me because they are ranked number 1, although they're only 3-0. I see that potential maybe dropping as we get some more crossover information. They play Fabius Pompey, which should be a crossover that might have an impact. I would anticipate them to beat Fabius Pompey. That says that they played them today, so that probably didn't happen because, rain. So if they don't make that game up, they won't have another crossover game. They have a few non-leaguers, but they're non-league against other CSC opponents like Westmoreland, Herkimer, and Mount Markham. So they'll be very self-contained, and I'll be interested to see how they play that.
I couldn't imagine if this season was played in the same calendar schedule as it was last year. Like, we would have one less week, and I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah. And then I think the Class C softball is crazy to me because you have those top 6 teams, and then Cato is sitting there at 5-2, having a really good season. Morrisville, I'll give them a shout out. I sort of underrated Morrisville as I drop things all over here. I sort of underrated Morrisville this season. They're playing very well. They're also 5-2, looking pretty dangerous. Cincy sits there at 2-2 seeding record, but they had a slow start. They have a very small team. They only have 10 players to choose from. So they've played a game. One of those losses came to McGraw. They only had 8 players there that game. So that definitely had an impact.
Why
they've
play?
started to
Why play?
They've started to find their groove for sure. So they just beat Stockbridge in a game that was kind of built across 2 different days. They have a lot of offensive firepower that can... They play very confidently, I would say. Bishop Grimes was another surprise to me. Sequoia's having a decent season. And then it kind of just falls off from there. You sort of have a top half and a bottom half to Class C softball this year. But that top tier is still, to me, Thousand Islands, Sandy Creek, Port Byron, Cooperstown is in that sort of next level. And then maybe Beaver River and Onondaga is at that next spot. But that's my rundown for softball.
The girls for Class C, it's kind of reminding me of their basketball season for Class C. Like in terms of like when you did the broadcast for the semifinals at Morrisville, you had Hamilton,
West
Cooperstown,
Canada, yep.
West Canada Valley, and Weesport, right?
Yep.
And it's like these are going to be phenomenal games, and I feel like it's going to be the same way for softball.
Yeah, I agree. I give the edge to Sandy Creek in this moment because once again, they've been there, they've done it, and they've done it many times.
Yeah.
But never count out the Wiley kid from Thousand Islands for sure.
Yeah. Experience is definitely huge, especially for high school sports. So let's transition to the next part here, which is the fun part. This is the breakdown. Now, for you, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Let's
I'll
go
see
with
if I don't struggle this time.
Yeah. Let's go with the non-spring sport one first. Okay?
Okay.
In the NFL, there are 5 teams that do not have their logo on their helmet. Who are those 5?
5 teams that don't have their logo on their helmet.
Correct. Like
All right.
the Bills helmet in your background there is an example of the team
Gotcha.
wearing their logo.
Exactly. All right, so number 1 is the dumbest team ever to exist, and that's the Browns.
That is correct.
Team number 2, I'm going to say, is the other team that was formed by Paul Brown after the Browns kicked him out, and that would be the Cincinnati Bengals.
That is correct. You're 2 for 2.
I'm going to guess the Steelers don't count, even though it's only on half.
Nope.
Let's see. The next one is the Vikings. They only have the horns, not the
Correct.
logo.
Correct.
The Eagles are also wings.
Okay, you're 4 for 5 right now. You're killing this one.
And the Rams, I believe, are also their horns and not their logo.
Oh, you definitely saw this video on social media.
I did not. I just know this.
You killed it.
I'm a visual person. If you give me a visual question, I will absolutely nail that.
All right, so now since we're in the spring sports season, this one is related to baseball. Okay?
Okay.
And this is right up your alleyway. You're saying you're visual, so let's really test this one here.
Okay.
Now, if you
gotta back
go
it
on,
up.
if you go, if you go on the ESPN app, okay, I'm going by the logos that you see in ESPN. So if you go to the standings and look at
That's
the
rough,
logos
'cause I never
there,
go on ESPN, but all right.
I'm going by those logos. Okay.
Okay.
There are 2 teams that have a baseball in their logo. Who are those 2 teams?
2 teams with a baseball in their logo for the MLB. All right,
Correct.
number 1, I know this because we went to Wisconsin for vacation this spring break, is the Milwaukee Brewers. In the middle of the glove to make the B is a baseball.
One of the best logos, too, by the way, in sports.
Fantastic. If you ever get a chance to see one of their old logos, look up the Kegman logo. It's one of their throwbacks. It's pretty hilarious looking. I saw a few T-shirts of those, and I was like, I almost want to get that. But I'm not a Brewers fan, so it wouldn't make no sense. Number 2, is it the LA Dodgers? Because it says Dodgers, and is there a ball streaking across it?
So that's on their jersey, going across their jersey.
Okay, it's not.
I'm only going by...
And their logo is just doing the LA?
Correct.
Okay.
I think most of these logos are what's on their hats.
Okay. Let's see. Ooh. Not a... I haven't watched baseball in a very, very long time.
Let me know when you want your first hint.
This is going to be... I mean, I got the first one so fast. I felt very good about that one. Is it in the middle of the P for the Phillies?
No.
That's just the normal P, huh? Poop starts with P. Let's see. And that's how I'm feeling about the rest of this question now. You think it's in there with I don't know why.
I have a hint ready to go, so let me know when you need it.
The Mariners is a compass, but is the compass like around a baseball? Is that an absolutely wild pull?
Is that your guess?
Yeah.
That is correct, because inside the compass is a baseball.
Let's go. Let's go. See, I told you. Visuals, man.
Yeah.
Visuals.
Damn, you crushed that one. All right. Kudos to you.
Nailed it. That's way better than waiting here awkwardly for 10 minutes while I suffer through these other ones.
Put the SpongeBob voice in there when you edit it 3 hours later.
Yeah. I feel good about that one.
That was good.
Ooh, Mariners. Mariners have some of the best logos going through time, too. Very well marketed team.
Yep.
All right. I really like blind rankings because it's fun to watch you suffer through the end. So I've got another one. You've got 5.
Okay.
These are video game franchises. You've got to rank your video game franchises.
Okay.
All right. First one up, Mortal Kombat.
Classic in terms of like old arcades. Classic sound clips.
One of the best like soundtracks with the techno version of the intro song. Phenomenal.
I'm gonna Hadouken them to 3.
3, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? My only problem with Mortal Kombat was I never actually knew any of the combos to do any of the cool stuff.
So
then you just button mash and then you lose, and it's not so fun.
But the people that actually do the moves is like it's
oh my god, crazy.
Out.
All right, Madden.
I grew up playing Madden, but ever since like I've gotten older, I've grown to hate it more and more. I know it's still an iconic game and franchise, obviously, and the whole premise behind Madden 2 is really cool. The fact that John Madden wanted people to learn the ins and out of football through the video game. For me personally, I'm gonna put Madden at 4 just because of the fact that I don't play it and I don't like Madden as a whole now. I know it's a really big franchise, but it's not for me.
I will say this: the thing I don't like about Madden is that we have to cycle it every single year.
Yeah,
like it's a football game. Why? Just because we have to? You could, and in this day and age, you could just update rosters. You don't even need to buy a new Madden anymore.
Right. Yep.
Which I guess on Game Passes you don't need to, depending on. But that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
I will say this about learning the game. I think if you're going to be an athlete, you need to start playing some more video games. Add it to your training retinue, because it really does help. And this is what branded and marketed me to my favorite teams, because I would play a sports video game. And so I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan for hockey because I liked Penguins. And NHL 94 came out, and I was scrolling through the teams, and I was like, Buffalo, Sabres, that's pretty cool. And then I kept scrolling and found a Penguin and was like, heck yeah, I'm the Penguins. And it also helped that Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr were on that team. But silly, 10-year-old me did not know how to say any of those names. So Mario Lemieux was the greatest player ever in my mind.
And
but
Jaromir Jagr.
Jagger, yeah. So yeah, I think you learn a lot through those games. Just I learned the infield fly rule through baseball video games.
Oh, okay. There you go.
There was a Sega video game that you could manipulate it because they wouldn't call the infield fly, and so I would purposefully run away from the ball and let it drop and pull double and triple plays.
Okay.
They didn't program it in.
Nice. All right, so I got 3 and 4 taken.
You got Mortal Kombat at 3 and Madden at 4.
Okay.
Next is Mario Kart.
Oh, I want to put it 1 so bad, but I feel like I'm gonna have something else that I would want at 1. God, you just love torturing me.
I know that your favorite thing in the world is like any Mario themed video game. Just say
It's
it
true.
for me, too. Just say it. Say the wonderful word.
All right, it's Mario Kart, guys. For those of you that don't know, I'm from Long Island, so I say some words a little bit differently than
I
you
think
guys
they
up
all
here.
know you're from Long Island based on how you've talked.
God. You know what? It's a classic. You can't go wrong with it. Everyone enjoys playing it. It's continued for 30 plus years. I'm going number one.
All right. Hey, that's fair. Blue shell at the end. Always the worst.
Oh,
Greatest
the
way
most
to even the
frustrating
game.
feeling. And then you see someone go right by you. Just
Oh.
makes your blood
I think
pressure
it's fascinating
boil.
because it's best to stay in like 8th place for the entire race until the last lap, and then to try to
Yeah.
make a mad dash for the end.
Yep.
A phenomenally programmed game. Love it. Everything. I was a monster at Mario Kart 64. Got pretty good at the Wii. Never bought the one for the Switch though. And now that the price of video games is like $120, I'll never be buying it for the Switch. All right, so we got Mario Kart at 1, Mortal Kombat at 3, Madden at 4, the Call of Duty franchise.
Yeah, I'll put that at 2. I'm actually happy with that. I'll put that at 2.
Okay, you're a big COD fan.
Not so much nowadays, but like growing up, that was the game to play. Like that's what we were doing. You know, that was the thing to do, and that's when the Call of Duty franchise like really took off. So, yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, and the last one is Fortnite.
Oh yeah, I put it at 5. That's good for me. Yep. I'm actually thrilled with this. This turned out great.
Yeah, I think you handled that well. I might swap out Madden and Mortal Kombat, but a 3-4 swap is pretty solid.
We're splitting
I
hairs.
personally would probably have Madden at 2 and Call of Duty lower, but yeah.
Look at us. We crushed it.
I think, yeah, nailed it.
Yeah.
What a show.
Yeah. But yeah, that was good. You made my heart, skip a couple beats there. Thanks. Appreciate that. But yeah.
Alrighty.
No, spring season is already pretty much halfway, and we got 3 weeks and then sectionals, and then it's over. It's the spring season every year. Every year, when it starts, it's like, oh, we're inside, long preseason, and then boom, it's over.
Yeah, super fast end. I'm excited to see how it goes. Lots of teams in the mix on the softball side. Lots of teams are going to find themselves on the baseball side because when you have to cycle through every arm on your team, that's going to be a true gut check.
Yep.
You have any final thought for us as we go through?
I don't. It's going to be quite the push here for all these teams. Like you said, I'm very excited. Hopefully we get some good May weather here. And I really hope the BTMs come out for softball.
Yeah. But if they don't, you know where to get that information. CNY Sports Authority. Big
Dang
coverage,
right.
small schools, CNY Sports. Thank you guys for joining us. Sorry it took us so long to get back in action.